Hey, I'm Ed. Tonight we're going to make a seared tuna steak. So to prep our tuna steak, very simple. Just a little salt, a little pepper, and a little extra virgin olive oil. Now, the tuna steak is important. I specifically picked out a piece that was thicker, make it easier to cook so it won't cook through all the way. And the other thing is you got to get fresh tuna, good quality tuna, so almost sushi grade if you can get that. Sometimes you'll see frozen tuna. Do not buy that. It just does not come out right because this is almost going to be like sushi. We're just going to brown the front and the back. I know you see sometimes this recipe with like toasted sesame seeds on the front and the back. I don't think you even need to do that. I just sear the top and the bottom in a very hot pan and then just slice it very thin across the grain, and you'll see how we serve it in a minute. But here we go. So we're going to just heat up a frying pan. Now, I did take this out a little bit earlier, so it's been out for about 15 minutes. We want it to heat up a little bit towards room temperature because if you put a cold piece of meat or fish or chicken into a frying pan, it just seizes up and it makes it tougher. Also, it makes it harder to cook evenly if it's very cold all the way through. So we're trying to bring it up to room temperature, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes on a plate depending on how thick it is. So we're going to get ready to put it in the pan now. Right, so here's our frying pan, preheated, pretty hot. Now, I seasoned the tuna with some extra virgin olive oil, if you remember. But here I'm using a little bit of vegetable oil, just like a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons, depending on the size of the pan. And you should be able to see it shimmering. It's quite hot, but not smoking yet. And we do that on purpose so that when we put in the tuna, it should sizzle. Let's see. There we go. So, if we look at this carefully, now we use a non-stick pan for any kind of fish because otherwise the proteins just stick to the metal. You can see a little band of color where it's cooking. We want that to go maybe a quarter of the way up or less. And then we're going to flip it and then cook it a quarter of the way through the other way. We want the middle to be raw. If you don't like sushi, do not eat pan-seared tuna because you're not going to like it. Anyway, let's let this go for just a few seconds. I think I'm going to leave the camera rolling on this one because it's actually so fast. Going to check it now. It's probably been a minute or so. Usually I don't move around stuff in the pan, but I just want to see what it looks like on the bottom. I think I'm going to flip it over now. It's about a minute, minute and a half. See? Got a little bit of browning. Again, the point of like pan-seared tuna is not to cook it all the way through. It's just to sear the top and bottom. Sear the salt and pepper and the seasoning in there a little bit, and just let it cook a few millimeters, quarter of an inch through on each side. And then when we cut it, it's going to be kind of like a sushi almost. Let's switch to a clean plate here so that in a minute this will be ready. So as you can see now I'm going to move it a little bit so you can see how it's cooked through about the same depth on both sides, and the band in the middle. So in other words, is that a quarter of the way that way, a quarter of the way that way, and half of it's still raw-ish in the middle. I'm going to just take that out, put it on a plate, and we're just going to let that sit and rest for a couple minutes, and then we'll slice it up. Right, so our tuna's cooked. What we want to do now is slice it up, and I need a very sharp knife, so I actually sharpen it just before I slice it. And we're going to go, there's the grain, so we're going to go across the grain, and very thin slices like this. Look at that, it's perfect. So, all we do to serve this is put some pieces on our plate here. And I put a little salad on the side, and I'm going to put in one of our roasted endives, and to finish it, just a little bit of soy sauce right on top, just like that. That's all you need. Seared tuna.